This is your host, K Mira, and you are tuned in to Look in the Mirror podcast, where we keep it all the way real, no play, period. I know I have been MIA, but I do want all my followers to know that I have been accomplishing a lot of personal goals for myself that has had me tied up recently for a bit, longer than I planned for it to. But K Mirror is back, y'all, and we are going back to Mirror Mondays, and that is a promise. Today, oh my God, I have two people joining me, and I am super excited. Both of them are very transparent. Y'all, this conversation, I really don't know where it's gonna go because both of them are just awesome, and I'm just gonna take the time to let them go ahead and introduce themselves.
Hi, everybody. My name's Leah Prather, and I'm just another hippie black girl. You can follow me on Instagram at Lisa Panay.
And I am Jasmine Lee. I am a wife, a mom, and I like to just think of myself as, you know, everybody's best friend once you get to know me. You can follow me on Instagram at THEE, Jasmine, JAZMYNE, Lee, LEE.
All right. So let's jump right into it, girls. Now, today's topic is a great one, and I think it is very well worth a conversation. Today we will discuss the 5 love languages. I know a lot of people, like some people know about it, some people don't. Some people don't care about it, some people do. But I think that they are very, very important in any relationship, not just, you know, romantically. I think they're important in friendships. They're just important in all relationships. And we'll start off by telling you what those 5 love languages are. We have words of affirmations, acts of service, quality time, gift giving or giving gifts, and then physical touch. So let's just go ahead and jump right in and let's discuss. First, girls, let's go ahead. What is your love language, Jasmine?
So for me, it's definitely acts of service. And then second would be words of affirmation.
Okay.
The rest of them, they kind of just, they can go, you know, they could be mixed up, but I know the bottom 2 are gift giving and I think quality time, actually.
Yeah. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Leah, what is yours?
I'm probably gonna say about the same. Mine is definitely acts of service. I'm always busy. I'm a mom. I'm constantly doing something. So that little extra errand that you can do for me for the day really is a big thing for me.
Yeah.
It's about to be a real servicey conversation because we all act the service.
Yes, because I was just going to say, I actually took the quiz when I was visiting Jazz and Brandon's house. And me and Jasmine was talking about it, and she was like, you should take the quiz. So I took the quiz, and I already knew mine was going to be act the service, but I just took it anyway because acts of service for me, definitely, that's going to tell me, to me, I feel like, that showed me that you care about me or love me more than any other thing. Like, just making it easier for me, you know, doing something that is taking the load off of my plate. I've never really been like big on flowers. Like, you got to do this. Like, you got to caress my cheeks. You got to do this and do all that. Like, I'm not really big on that. For me, it's more so of making it easier for me. So I guess we can just talk about them, I guess one by one. It's kind of going, well, I don't know. Do y'all think it's going to be kind of hard to talk about, certain things if it's, like, I don't know. What y'all think?
No, I don't think so. Like, you know, I guess I can talk about how I got to know what they were.
Okay.
Because I heard about the five love languages back in 2017. That's when I first heard about it. And I heard somebody say, "Oh yeah, it's a book, but you know they have the quiz online, blah blah." I'm like, okay, well if they got the quiz and I don't have to read the book, then I'm gonna do that. So I was like, cool. So I looked it up, and at that time, me and my husband were just dating, and I was like, we should take this because we were still in that, you know, puppy love type stage of the relationship, but we were finding that we were really butting heads a lot very often. And we couldn't really figure out why is that, because we thought, oh my gosh, you're so great. No, you're so great. But it's like, why don't you understand that I'm doing this and I'm trying to show you that, you know, I care, and you're saying I'm doing this and I'm trying to show you that I care and you don't get it. So
yeah.
When I found out that this existed and we took it, I'm like, okay, now this makes a lot of sense. Mm-hmm. Because he is not acts of service. He is words of affirmation. So I was like, okay, now it's like made it kind of, you know, put it in perspective for me that, okay, the reason why when I'm getting up early to make you this food and you're, you know, you saying thank you, but you're not thinking like, oh my God, you're amazing for doing this, is because that's not really your primary love language. And whereas I would be like, poof, I deserve like a new car for this. Like, you know, like this would be out of this world to me. You that's know, like Jack. Honestly, hello, where are the keys? Where are the keys? That's what I need to know. So that's how I felt, and I just couldn't understand it for the life of me. But when we took it, that was one step into understanding that. But then I would say, and we can, you know, discuss it more as the conversation goes on. I don't want to take up too much, but I would say that was the first step, but that was just knowledge. But the wisdom would be applied knowledge. So we had to learn to actually apply that. Like, yes, I know Jasmine's primary love language is acts of service. I know Brandon's primary love language is words of affirmation. But will me, Jasmine, choose to respect that, to apply that when I am trying to show him love, or will I just try to make him an acts of service type of person? And I think a lot of us do that. We recognize the other love language, but then we kind of still say, but my way is better, so you should kind of just start to see it my way. At least I know I struggle with that too. So, yeah.
Right. And so number one is the words of affirmation. So for people who don't know what words of affirmation is, it's pretty much like if your partner's love language is words of affirmation, it's pretty much where they, I guess, they
need to hear it.
They need to hear it. They don't have to see it. Something as simple saying like, you're a great driver. I feel safe when you're driving. You really know how to drive in the city. Things like that.
That probably means a lot to them.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. My husband took it too, and his was words of affirmation. And let me tell you, me and Jasmine think he lying because
I still like I don't see how that works.
We think he lying because words of affirmation and stuff like you know they may like for you to like leave them a little note or good morning text. Like I know we've all, before we've been in our relationships that we're in now, everybody have received like those text messages. Good morning, beautiful. Good morning, da da da. Them messages didn't mean nothing to me because that's not my love language, but whereas somebody whose is words of affirmation, they may be like, oh, like it's saying it instead of showing it. Like,
absolutely.
Yeah. Like I can know that you love me without you telling me 100 times.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I definitely think for my husband, and that's where for me I struggled with it because I'm all about reading enlightenment and things like that, but for me it wasn't something that immediately clicked, and my husband actually told me about it, and I was just like, okay, well, yeah, that makes sense. All of these things are things that I do like. I do like when people give me things. I do like when people tell me I'm pretty. Like, all these things to me sound like a decent relationship if somebody's giving me all of these 5 love languages. So that's kind of how I really start to think about it. And then we started to kind of not see eye to eye after, we never had any arguments through dating. We never really had any issues. It was wasn't until after we got married this year, you know, the corona and you're around each other.
More often.
And I'm like, oh, and then the kids are there, and there's 3 kids, and they're all boys, and they're all running. And so the environment just becomes something that you're not used to. And so I just didn't understand it, because to me, I felt like I was doing all the things as a wife that I knew, like, okay, this is what he expects from me. This is what he expects from me. But I was doing all these things, and like things weren't clicking. Like, I'm like, to me, I was starting to feel underappreciated, because like, okay, I'm doing all these wonderful things for you and you still have these problems. That's how I was looking at it. So for him, his is physical touch. Like, that's his love language. But for me, that's always been a struggle just through any relationships, because I'm here or there, honestly.
Yeah.
I don't need much physical touch. I really don't. I'm a very solitary person. I was single for a while before I got married, and I'm okay with not needing physical touch.
Yeah.
But I had to realize that doesn't mean somebody else has to be okay with not. Yeah, and he heard me talking to my girlfriends about it one night, and I didn't really realize that to him it was like a really serious thing, and you know, he was offended that I was talking about it in almost like a joking way. And that's when I started to realize, oh, well, I guess this is important to you, because it may not be something that's 100% necessary to me all the time, but for you on a day-to-day, that's what's important. And I think in any relationship, you either have to respect that or it's just not going to work out.
That's true.
100% agree. I was telling a friend of mine that before, maybe this was a while ago, we were having a conversation, but I said that was really a turning point for me in my relationship as far as the dynamic, because I really realized, okay, you've known this information for maybe a year, Jasmine, a year and a half, however long, but how long have you been making a concerted effort to apply it? And I realized I was almost judging him for his love language being different than mine. Like, why do you need this? Why, you shouldn't need that. You shouldn't need somebody to say this, or you shouldn't need blah, blah, blah. You could just, and basically was saying, it was another way of saying it could just be my way, which is acts of service. And it's not that he doesn't appreciate acts of service. It's just that's not his primary thing. Doesn't matter how many, doesn't matter how many ways I try to flip it. It's not going to be his primary, I think that I think with love languages, though, it's like you said at the beginning, it is important for every relationship, not just, your marital relationship. But I think it also gives you a chance to learn yourself a lot better. For one, you get to tell people how to handle you, right? How to love you, and not just your spouse, but your friends. Like, hey, I really appreciate when, me and my best friend or something like that, when we go out, when you take the time to say, oh, well, I'll go and pick up the cupcakes for you for Bradley's birthday, because I know you got to do the decorations and blah blah and da da da. Right. I appreciate, or telling a friend that, like, it will help me a lot if you just took off this errand or this burden, because that's kind of how I you don't have to like get super mushy about it, but you know what I'm saying? You get to actually tell people, instead of thinking, well, why would you not do this? If you were a real friend, you would do this. But it's like, they may not know.
Right.
Everybody doesn't have the same brain as you.
Right.
So that's one, you get to, by exploring that, you get to tell people how to love you, how to, cohabitate with you and things of that nature. But then also you get to learn yourself more, because I think it gives you a chance to kind of ask yourself, okay, this is my primary love language, but how did I get to this place? It's not that it's bad. It's not bad, but if I was somebody whose primary love language was giving gifts, doesn't mean that it's bad. Because I think people sometimes look at that one as like taboo, well, not taboo, but maybe one of the ones that's like, ooh, where it's like, oh, are you a gold digger, or something like that. But it doesn't mean that those people want you to give them like, a new Birkin and a new car every day.
They might.
They might.
I want to stay away from that. That's not set up in my budget. Okay, my wallet's not okay with that. But if they did, that's they just have to find the right person.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
And I think that's also really important too, because I'm a boundaries and standards kind of person. Like, and that's just all around in every relationship. I even have boundaries and standards with my children. Like, you got to know what we can and cannot do and how far we're going to take it. So I think setting that up early, and like, that's why I credit my relationship being as amazing as it is now. We both came out of just really bad places, really dark place in our life, and just hurt people. And, you know, hurt people hurt more people. So you have to be really careful with that in relationships. But we both just came clean as to what we were expecting in the beginning and set these standards for, you know, hey, this isn't what I do. This isn't what I'm a part of. And luckily, all of our standards just aligned, or we respected each other's boundaries. And I think it takes a really special person to apply, or a special couple to apply the love languages too, because if you're not a person that's okay with, you know, accepting critical, you know, critiques from your spouse or from, you know, your friends, it's not going to work out. Because the first thing, because I'm a Leo to my core, it's really hard to tell me I'm not doing something right when I'm pretty sure I'm doing something right. So you have to really be able to, you know, kind of just kill your ego for the person that you're with, or you're gonna lose them. You're gonna lose that person for yourself.
Yeah, and you have to be able to be uncomfortable sometimes just to come to a common ground. Like, you know, everything isn't going to be exactly how you want it to be. Sometimes you have to do things that you like, this ain't my style, this ain't really what I want to do. But if it's something that, you know, your spouse needs, then, you know, it's kind of like, yeah, we have to make sometimes sacrifices and compromises to make sure that everybody is, you know, taken care of.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and I think a lot of the times with that, like the happiness that your spouse, that you see from it alone kind of makes it your thing.
Yeah.
So what are some ways that, step one, words of affirmation. So I guess let's discuss some ways to show, I guess, words of affirmation to people. What do you think? Like, if I forgot who said that their spouse.
I'm married to a words of affirmation.
Okay, you're married to a words of affirmation person. So what are some things that that you can tell the people, like, that they can do if they're struggling with it, dealing with it?
Right, because that's exactly the perspective I wanted to come from. Because, like I said, I did struggle with, you know, making it a regular thing. But I think that someone put it to perspective for me. It was actually my therapist. She had put in perspective for me once about, you know, she talked about a Bible verse about how a wise woman, like, builds up her home, and like, I don't want to call it dumb, but it's the verse said something about, like, you know, being unwise would be like you could tear down your home with your hands, basically. And she was basically, the point she was trying to make was, you know, even though you may struggle with trying to understand how to give him the words of affirmation that he needs, or you may have found yourself judging it, or whatever the case may be, what do you want to do? Do you want to tear down your home, or do you want to build it up? So even if you're in a moment where you feel like, I really shouldn't have to say this for you to get this, what do you want to be? Do you want to be in your mind and say, I shouldn't have to say it, so I'm not going to say it? Or do you want to build up your home? And so, you know, I know the things from being married to him and being with him for this long. I know the things that are important to him. So it's just taking the time to, even if it's starting off with just one thing in one thing each day, to take the time to just make a sincere acknowledgement about. And another really good thing that she taught me was not just, I can't remember exactly what she called them, but she was basically trying to tell me the difference between kind of like, for the sake of me not remembering the exact words, like a compliment versus a like affirmation. So a compliment might say like, oh, this, you know, this chicken that you made is good.
Mm-hmm.
But oftentimes, especially people who are words of affirmation, they want more than that. So they're going to keep picking and prodding because they're looking for something. And
more
then
personalized.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So if you're the type of person who struggles with doing it, then you might start to in turn get frustrated. And you're like, that's why I don't need to tell you nothing, because you want to do. But instead of giving that compliment, oh, I eat this chicken. Oh, I like what you did with this chicken. You know, I like how it kind of tastes like blah, blah, blah. Giving them details or giving them more insight and making it a little more personal, so that you basically covered all the bases there. It's not saying you have to kiss somebody behind and you need to just go on and on and on and be phony. It's just saying, you know, not just giving them a little dab, because that's not really truly showing the love that you want, and it's also going to keep being something that they basically feel is unfulfilled. So I think if you're a person who is trying to get close to a person whose words of affirmation, whether that's a friend, a spouse, a coworker, whomever, try giving them personalized and like overall affirmation, instead of just dabbling them with something like, okay, I hope that's good enough.
Right. You have to be more specific in your compliments and words of praise to them.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of like filling their emotional tank a little bit too, because you got to kind of, and you got to, and even with those kind of people, I feel like you have to be mindful, like, let's just say doing arguments and things like that. Like it seems like words, whatever you say, like it may be harder for them to get over certain words, or it may be, you know, because that's their love language, like, you know. So
no, I definitely agree with that. I would say that too. So anybody else who has the same situation knows that when you say something, you better be prepared to stand by it, because it may not go away easy. You might hear that 2 months from now.
You got to stand on what you said.
Better be sure that's what you wanted to come out, because it's going to be on the record.
All right. So love language number 2, acts of service. Yay. That's all of us. So we really can talk about that. We can tell y'all everything y'all want to know about acts of service. Leah, you want to start?
Oh, yeah, it's definitely the small things for me, because like I said, I'm always so busy that I have so much going on. And you know, with acts of service, I have learned that I have to be better about this, because I am a person who will wait. I will wait for you to like get up, or I'll be like, oh, looks like you're adjusting your seat a little bit. Let me get my list together of things I need you to retrieve from the kitchen. But, you know, it means so much to me.
Right.
It really does mean so much to me, because it's probably because I'm tired, or, you know, I had a long day. And if you just bring me the remote a little bit closer, it's so great. Oh, and don't do something like that, an errand that might cost me money down the line. I love when my husband gets my oil changed, or cleans my car, or just do things that I neglect to do, because I don't know why I neglect to do them. I'm also an adult, but
right.
But it just means so much to me.
Yeah.
And my husband, he loves to do those things. He's I really lucked out, because he's an acts of service kind of person. I come home, it's clean. It might also be rearranged. I never know where things are anymore, but he's just that kind of person who, he's highly organized. He likes things to be clean. He likes for things to look a certain way. And I'm just like, hey guys, we're just living. The kids are fine. The kids are fine. Everything else will just fall by the wayside, because that's how I was used to living, being a single mom. It's just, you know what, you do what you got to do. And, you know, as long as the kids are okay, it's fine. There's tomorrow. So he's definitely been really beneficial to that. But I do have to make sure that I don't have days where I just keep asking, or, you know, those little favors will kind of really start to like lift up onto somebody when they feel like you're constantly asking, even if it's something small.
Yep.
Like, even if he says like, oh, you always are asking something when I get up, I'll be like, you know what, I'm not gonna ask him nothing all week.
That's hard.
It's just hard. I know I might go like 2 days, but it's the point.
Yeah, I
I'm
usually
trying
don't make
to meter it off.
So I think that's a great way to warn people who may be trying to get close to somebody who is acts of service, and y'all can definitely let me know if I'm wrong, but I'm going to speak for acts of service people when I say it's the little things for us. We want you to just, if you could just think about us and taking off the little things in our plate, that's great. But one way to definitely turn us off from you to put up a wall is if you ever act like helping us is a problem.
Yes.
As soon as you act like helping us is a problem, we don't want your help anymore. I don't want to talk about it. I don't want to talk to you. I don't want to help you because I feel as though as an act of service,
I didn't need you in the first place.
Exactly. I could do this, right? That's one way. And then also it's just like as we are giving love to the people who are in our circle, like our spouse or our children or our family members or whomever, we're feeling like we're taking into account all the little things and we're trying to do all the little things. So when I'm overwhelmed or my plate is full, and so I'm asking you to take, a fruit off my plate, and it's I'm tired. Yeah. You want to talk about tired, so it's the end of the world. So
it's like an insult.
It really is. Because you take so much care for it, and like it's something small for me. Like I don't know, I've gotten better, and I've had to start to realize that everybody's not as meticulous as I am. Mm-hmm. But getting the food order, like going to order something, and like you just weren't listening to what I said.
Right.
And now it's
girl. Please talk about it. I'm like,
and now it's not right.
I said it's 3 times honey mustard, and you forgot the honey. So the 4th time is what you needed, right?
Because I know I would have remembered it.
Exactly. I think that's just a general. Honestly, I feel like that's a struggle, and I could be wrong because I'm newly married, so I don't know everything there is to know. But I just think that may be like a struggle sometimes in marriages in general, where we just think a lot of times about what we would do. Like, okay, wait a minute. How did you make this mistake when you know I wouldn't make this mistake?
Right.
And I think sometimes it just really comes down. Exactly. And I think sometimes it really comes down to us as women, forgetting love languages, just us as women sometimes and being natural nurturers, and then them as men, just kind of just making it flying by the seat of their pants. Like,
exactly.
Oh, I broke it all the way down for my husband too, because I'm a talker. Like he knows immediately if I'm upset because I'm going to tell him exactly what it is. He doesn't have to wonder. Too. He doesn't have to. He don't have to do nothing. I'll tell you.
Yep. And I can't hold it in.
Why I'm upset. And I remember one day we got in an argument. We got in a bad argument. He called me a brat.
Leah, why I thought you was about to say something else.
Oh no, we wouldn't be here having this love
He
talk.
called me a brat.
We would not be having this love talk.
He called me a brat. But to me, that was such a huge dent to my ego as, this independent woman. And it was over food. It was over the fact that, my order just wasn't right. And I was just getting so frustrated because it had been like a trend for the week. It had just been.
When I say I feel you, I feel you.
It's like okay, so you don't care about me.
My husband works in food service. So I'm like, so tell me how you made this mistake twice when you work in food service. Just let me know.
But it really felt like to me that he didn't care. It really did. It felt like to me that you just don't care about, you say I'm particular and you say that I'm this and that I'm that, but you knew that. But
right, like knowing all of these things, you still let this happen.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you know that that's just how I am, and I can't necessarily help that I am so particular about things at times. But now it just feels it's my love language that, errands are done or acts of service and things like that, and it feels like you don't care when you neglect those details for me.
Mm-hmm.
And I had to break it down like that for him.
Do y'all sometimes kind of feel like they're obligated to do certain things? Like, for instance, if I cook, like, I shouldn't ask you to do the dishes. Like, you should automatically know, like, my love language is acts of service. So, like, you know, you
For
should
sure.
automatically know that you finna help me in some kind of way. It don't necessarily got to be the dishes, but something. Do y'all, like, has it gotten to the point where you feel like with certain things, like I just went grocery shopping, so you should automatically know that when you hear me pulling up, you need to come get the groceries out the car?
I think it comes with the growth
yeah.
of the relationship, because I think that goes back to what we were saying about respecting the love language. Because if you know me and you know that this is how, that this is how to receive love, and you also, your goal is to make me happy and to make me feel comfortable, then yeah, I think that it should, cross your mind to think about, how could I be helpful in this situation? Just because I understand that she receives, my love from me thinking about being helpful. But I also think it goes back to what I was trying to say earlier about just it helping us learn ourselves, because I know that I'm acts of service. And like, for the example, the things you just named as an example, like cleaning the dishes after cooking or putting up the groceries after coming in, I get those things, and I became an acts of service person from my father. He is this way. If I cook, as a child, if I cook for my dad, he's going to wash the dishes. So that's where I get that from. Oh, let me make sure I go out of my way. My father's the type of person that he remembers everybody's birthday, and he mails them a card, to make sure that it gets there on their birthday or before their birthday. Like, that's how he is. So that's where I get that
that's
from.
That's funny. My dad's like that too.
Yeah, right. And so it's just like, it makes that impression on us. And I had to learn, I think, as an adult, not that, what he taught me is wrong, because I love that about him and I love that I'm that way. But it doesn't mean it's the only way.
Right.
And because the person who I choose to fall in love with and the person who I choose to marry, because they don't automatically think the way my father is, doesn't mean that they love me less or they're less of a person, but they do have to learn that that's how I would like for them to love me.
Right.
Yeah.
And they have to be willing to do that.
Right.
I would also cap back on that too, because I have had relationships and I can be the person, either I'm going to go 100% for you or like 0%. Like, there's not really an in between for me. Like, where you stand in a relationship, when the relationship's over as well, because I'm awful. But I've learned through all of the heartache that I've been through is just say kind of how you feel. Say it. Like, even if you think somebody knows, just say it. Even something as simple as the dishes, because I have had so many arguments just over simple miscommunications because I thought you should have knew. Because you shouldn't. I thought you should have known. Honestly, I don't understand how. And in my head, it's like, how could you not think that way?
Right.
Because I clearly think that way, and I know I'm normal.
Right.
So, like, even to this day, like, my husband, he knows I'm coming home. Sometimes I might try to carry all the groceries by myself, but if I want him to help me, I'm just going to text him and say, hey, can you come and help me with this? I'll be home in this amount of time, instead of what I've done before, because I'm a door slammer. I just walk in there, slam the door, so you're not going to help nobody? Like, oh, God. You saw me on the balcony, didn't you?
I think, like what Jazz said, it comes with time in a relationship, because now I just automatically just expect that. And I mean, we're there now. Like, if I went grocery shopping by myself and I got all these groceries and I went down every aisle doing everything, like when you hear the garage opener coming up, Luke already be coming outside, like, and he gonna put them up.
I don't care if I did grocery pickup. Did I drive and get it? Did I put them in my car and press order? Then you need to get them out the trunk. And
I ain't gonna lie, if it's times where, like, he always, like, if he hear the garage opener come up, he always just automatically come outside and help get whatever it is, whether I went grocery shopping or not. But I ain't gonna lie, if it's a time or two, even though it's something that he do all the time, if it's a time or two and he don't do it, I'll walk in the house and, like, walk in there and look at him like, I know they're wrong. Like, you didn't hear this garage? Like, it's to the point where you almost expect it.
On the garage so next time you can hear me coming.
Yeah. It's like where you almost expect it. Yeah.
Hello.
Yeah. So,
hello, somebody.
Yeah. So just as an overview for acts of service, we are pretty much the people that's kind of like, we like for you to say, let me do that for you. You know,
Absolutely.
whatever, without being asked.
For us, that's us.
Yes, and if we don't have to ask you, we'll love you forever. Like,
I have
literally
an active service question for all of you.
Okay, go ahead.
So, once somebody has proven to you that they are not good at, they're not reliable, that's basically what it ends up to. When you're dating and, you find a partner and they're just not a reliable partner, they're not able to really do those things for you, do you feel like those relationships may have crumbled faster?
Yes, for me,
absolutely.
Yeah, I couldn't deal with that. Like, that would be definitely a deal breaker for me. Yeah, definitely a deal breaker. If I can't rely on you,
also make a strain too.
Yeah, if I can't rely on you, there's broken commitments, and you just generally not helpful to me at all. It's definitely a turnoff, and I can't do it. I wouldn't be able to.
I figured it would be as well.
And
I can't be in love with somebody who don't help me do nothing. Like,
you just want me to take on everything.
You don't do nothing.
Yeah. It's a no for me.
I mean, I'm a strong woman, but I'm not trying to do everything.
I can't carry you too.
Right. And I think that goes for friendships and relationships for
definitely.
Sure, because if I feel like, I keep having to ask you, hey, can you help me with this? I keep having to, that won't work for me as a friend either, because again, I'm going to deem it as you not being reliable. So I think that's another thing to warn anybody who's trying to get close to somebody who may be acts of service, or you don't know what the person is, but you're thinking from hearing this conversation that they may be acts of service. One other way, we talked about earlier about, if you make it seem like it's a problem to help us, but broken commitments goes a long way with somebody's acts of service. It's one thing when you say, oh, I'm going to do something to help you move such and such, but then, something emergency comes up and you can't, life happens. It's not that. And when you say, oh, I'm going to wash your car for you, and I really need my car washed, and then time comes when you say you're going to wash it and it's not washed,
or you're a no-show, or just anything.
Yeah, things like that. That was just the first thing in my mind.
It may not be a big deal to nobody else, but for us, the acts of service folks, that's like shooting a bird in our face, basically.
It literally is. Like, if you're going to do something, then follow through with doing it, because we know that when we say we're going to do something, then we're following through with doing it.
Right.
So by you not doing it, you may think it's little. And of course, sometimes, if you're saying like, oh, I'll get up and get you a napkin, and then you get a phone call and literally forget that you was about to get up. That's nothing. Like, that's not a big deal. But I'm talking about real things that you said you're going to do for them that will ease their burdens, like washing their car or cooking dinner or whatever. When then it turns back on them, that builds up more resentment. It builds up more wall and stuff like that. So if you feel like you have even a strained relationship with somebody who is asked to serve something, think and ask yourself, have I ever broken any commitments to them, or do I kind of do that? And if you could say yes, then that may be a reason that they kind of are at a little bit more distant from you than you might, want.
Yeah. So to answer your question, Leah, it's a no for me. I think it's a no for Jazz. It's a no for me.
It's a no for me.
Yeah, because for me...
Yeah, and I think that's going to be the opposite of all of them as well, because, we're coming up here on physical touch, and that was a big one for me.
Yeah. So I think, what's next? Oh, quality time. Okay. So
I like my space.
I'm sorry, I'm a loner, so
I love it when you go out with the boys.
Yeah, I want us to spend time together, but it doesn't need to be set aside.
Always.
Like, it don't need to be scheduled. It's not like, oh, I'm always up under my man. I've been like that really since the beginning. Like, of course, when things are new, of course, you want to spend time with somebody more often because, you think they're so great and blah, blah, blah. So, but even when things were new, I could still, have my time to go and have lunch with a girlfriend, or invite him, vice versa. And it's not really a problem. I'm not really one of those type of people that feel like if one of my friends called me to do something, now that I'm in a relationship, that means that you invited my husband automatically too, or something like that.
Right.
Like, I'm not like that. Yeah.
Right.
No.
You just have to have like a good balance. Yeah. So like, we could be in the house and we can really be doing our own thing, and then like we may get our quality time in by, we always try to like watch series together. So that's our quality time together. You know, when we eat dinner and then when we watch our series.
When they skip an episode.
Oh, he better not watch no episode without me.
Let me back up.
That's an argument.
Let me Homer Simpson back my way out of this conversation.
That's an argument.
I'm sorry. If you fall asleep, that's fair game. I'm going.
You're going to keep watching it, Jazz.
I ain't cutting it off. If it's good and you fall asleep, that's on you. That's on you. But the thing is, I do tell him, I say, you sure you want to keep going? Because you might say, no, I want to watch another one. I'm not going to stop in the middle of the episode when you said to keep going and now you fell asleep. This episode has to get finished.
Honestly, I don't even see how you watch series with him. For those who don't know, Brandon is our best friend, and we cannot watch TV with him. Like when he come and visit, like we like to sit and plan to watch a movie. It's literally going to be me, Jazz, and Luke watching the movie. Like he gonna be up. He's gonna be up, pacing back and forth. He gonna be in the kitchen, get something to drink. Like he do not like to watch TV. I mean, I don't get it.
He's gonna go to sleep.
Or he gonna go to sleep.
Without him going to sleep. So it's no point. I don't feel bad anymore. I don't listen to him. He said, I can't see. He said that all the time. He said that yesterday. He said, see, some people wait for their spouse. Well, some people, I guess. Because
I guess that
some people's spouses don't have insomnia, narcolepsy or something like that, where they just start to fall asleep as soon as you press play. I'm not putting myself through that. You know how many good things I would have never watched if I was waiting on him?
That used to get on my nerves about one of my exes. Just press play. If you didn't want to watch it, you could have just said no. You didn't have to be disrespectful and fall asleep. But yeah, I do love quality time.
I do too.
Love it
I do.
It gets more sparse the more kids you get.
Yep.
And the crazier life gets. So I definitely do value it a lot. But I do have my bouts, and we take separate girls guys trips throughout the year. You know, and just have that. Okay, I am still an individual.
Right.
Outside of this marriage time, and it's something that we both value a lot because we both came from like really overbearing relationships where that wasn't a thing. Like you weren't allowed to have friends,
right?
And so I think it's really important for us to also spend a lot of time outside of the relationship, focusing on making sure we're happy to be in the relationship.
Right.
Absolutely.
So we
do spend the time when he's not falling asleep on series. We do watch that stuff. Or we talk a lot about, we bond over sports a lot. That's it from day one. So even if we're not actually sitting watching a game together, when he gets home and we talk about the news that's happened in sports, like that's kind of our time to just, we're not parents, we're not lovers, we're just like friends, just kicking it, talking about our opinions.
Yeah.
And so I think that's something that really connects us.
Music's a big love for us. My husband was really the first person that I ever met in my life that I could just sit and enjoy silence, or just enjoy listening to not even music, but just lo-fi beats and instrumentals, and you just sit there and you're just enjoying each other's time and space. And that alone was just a whole nother level of learning to be with somebody that I fell in love with, because it's just like, and it's rare to find somebody who you can just sit there with and be okay.
That's true.
Beautiful.
Yeah, that's true. So we don't want to make quality time seem like, a person, if that is your love language, we don't want to make it seem like it's a bad thing. I mean, it definitely is a good thing, but it's just not. Like, I think it was almost at the bottom of my list. I think
it was the second to last for me, because I think gift giving was the last. But people who spend a lot of quality time, they're really great lovers, right? Because they spend the time to notice you.
Yep.
You could serve somebody all day, but and that's you do have to know somebody to think about what they would like, how they would like to be served. But people who spend quality time, they notice things about you that maybe I have a really, really close friend who I don't know for sure, but I would not be surprised if her love language was quality time, because of the way that when she's with you, she's so very present. and you can tell that she's
Like,
very
she
aware.
not on her phone and all that stuff?
She's not on her phone. She's listening to the words that you're saying. She's listening to. She's like really looking into kind of your eyes, so she can see, okay, if you're you're okay, you're not okay.
Mm-hmm.
She's very aware of what the truth is and stuff like that, and so you feel so much more comfortable being around her and everything like that, and just speaking to her. So people like that, they connect with you really in a different way. So it's a very powerful love language. Is just find someone who can make sure that they respect that and make sure they make the time for you to feel that.
Yeah, like we all like quality time, but it doesn't have to be OD. Like, so I think we all can agree to that. It doesn't have to be OD. Like, we live together. Like, we don't have to, go on dates every weekend and, things like that. And, but I'm not against it. Like, I like spending quality time too, but it's just not something where it's like going to make or break me. Yeah, like I don't just, yeah. The next one is giving gifts. So gift giving. These kind of people, they pay attention to the value your partner places on gifts and symbols to learn if their primary love language is like gift giving. So pretty much a person who's flowers, let's just say flowers. Like, for me, you don't necessarily have to give me flowers.
Yeah,
me personally, I'd rather have the money.
That's my love language. My husband is an excellent gift giver. I think he thinks that's my love language. Is that I like things, and I do like
gifts,
things.
but
But like, I'll have like a new Amazon something, and like he does it with the kids too. I'm like, why are you buying them things? They need no more things. But that's just what he does. Almost every week, I'm like, oh look, I got this for so and so. I got this for so and so. Here, I got this for you. Oh, this is lovely. What's this for?
Yeah.
But like I'm such the opposite of a gift. Like, I do give gifts.
Me too. I was just gonna say it's crazy because I'm a gift giver, but I don't necessarily have to receive gifts, if that makes sense.
Yeah, but like I'm really weird about gifts too, because I usually only, like, if I'm going to give you a gift, like, it's going to be really thought out. Like, it's going to be a personalized gift. It's either going to be made or it's going to be something. So I usually only give gifts like 2 times a year. You get a birthday, you get a Christmas, or you can flip it for a trip, or you can flip them. You can have options.
Right.
But we usually talk about it like every year. I'm like, okay, so what do you want to do? For Christmas, do you want to go somewhere, or do you want a present? What do you want to do? I need to know.
I want to go somewhere.
We usually go somewhere.
Yeah.
We usually go somewhere, or get something for the house, or something big that we needed throughout the year, or something like that.
Yeah, they do say that the receiving gift love language. Sometimes they say that it can get a bad rap. It like coming off as a bit materialistic, but from what I've read on, I ain't gonna say notice, but from what I've read on, sometimes it's less about the dollar amount. It's more so about being thoughtful. You know what I mean?
That's what I was
not saying that you have to spend, hundreds of dollars on them, but it's just the thought for them that counts. Like, if
because they could probably take like a homemade card or something like that to them. That could be a gift. It's just something that you just took the time to say, I saw this or I did this just for you.
Yeah.
And so it mirrors acts of service in a way. It's just something that's tangible versus acts of service, something that's more like, an action.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
That's just the only real difference there.
Right. So,
but I think those people are very, it's beneficial if they give love that way too, because it's still a sacrifice, right? Because unless you're talking about somebody who literally money is no object to them ever, like Bill Gates or something like that, or somebody who's actually legitimately rich, they're still sacrificing something that they had to work hard for, which is their money, to say, okay, well, even if it is only $40 today, and then it's $100 next week, and then it's $15 this week, I still gave it up intentionally, on purpose, you know, directly to show you that I care about you.
Right. And the fifth one is physical touch. Now, although this one sounds sexual, and it can be, but physical touch isn't just about sex. I know we've all seen people, you know, in, like, let's just say we're at the movies or we're at the fair or whatever. You know how some people, they'll just be walking their whole hands, or they'll just like be rubbing on their partner's ears, or just, you know, playing with their face, you know, just those people, love languages, you know, is probably physical touch. That doesn't mean, you know, it doesn't always have to be sexual. It could be something as simple as.
The worst for me is I'm such a jumpy person. Like, I don't know why. It's like I've been to prison and I haven't, but I'm just such a jumpy person. Like, he was trying today. He's so sweet. And I have the sweetest husband. He was trying to feed me popcorn. And, like, it was coming from an obscured view, like, over my face into my mouth. And I'm, like, flipping out because I don't know what's going on. I'm like, what are you doing? Get off of me. And I'm just not a good physical, touchy person. Like, I even have to, you know, force myself with, like, hugs and stuff. And that's just, like, as a person, like, I usually have just, like, a physical barrier that I usually keep with people. And I have to remember that you don't get to do that. And, like, it was becoming, like, a real issue because for me, I was starting to think, like you said, it's just sexual. And, like, it was really starting to get on my nerves. I was like, okay, are you just not happy if we're not having sex? Because it doesn't work like that. You're just not walking around like that all day.
Right.
And he's like, no, like, he basically told me it's not just about that. It's about, you know, sitting next to each other on the couch and, you know, just telling him, maybe touching him when he walks by, or just
touching his back when you pass him in the kitchen. Just anything.
It's not just that. It's more so about the affection. That's how, that's important to me. That's how I feel. And, like, for a while, I was just like, well, that's not me. Like, that's not what, like, you've known this. Why is it such a problem now? Was my first approach to it, because that's how I felt, was, you know, to really be more defensive. And then, you know, I, you know, wave my feminist flag and just like, you don't tell me what to do with my body. And
you went there.
Yeah, because it to me, like, it was feeling like, okay, is this all our relationship is just becoming? Like, do you feel like just because we got married, like, we're supposed to keep these numbers, or, you know, something like that? And, you know, that was bothering me more so than just kind of dissecting what he was saying. It's more just like, your partner's waving at you and he's like, hey, this is how I feel, this is what this is what I need from you, and, you know, can I give him what he needs?
Right. The main thing to remember about it is to treat your partner like someone you're still excited to be around. And that can be kind of hard when you know, once you've been with somebody for so long, but you got to do it. Even if that's not their love language, you still have to treat them like, you know, they're someone that you're excited to be around, or that you treasure, you know, just love being around, or whatever. Reassurance. We all need it sometimes. We all need it.
Yeah.
So. And I have lupus, so, like, that's something else that really, for me, it makes it another barrier, because I just have days I just don't want to be messed with, honestly. Like, I don't really just have it in me to give anything. I got enough to get the kids going and go back down. Like, and that will just be it for the day. And, like, it really, you just have to watch how your levels of affection are with your partner, because, like you said, you still have to, it's not saying like you have to keep it popping every day and every night, but, like, you still have to treat them as if they're first off, they're still attractive to you because you're still
Right.
with them. You have to just hype them up at the end of the day. And that's just how some people are, you know. And for me, I really just boiled it down to, was it like a man thing? Oh, that's all man wants. But you have to
Right.
really sit down and, like, if you love your partner and you know that's not how they are because you know them,
Mm-hmm.
you have to really just boil down to, okay, what are they really saying to you?
They just want to feel like they still got it. We have
Yeah.
to
Yes.
make them feel like they still got it, and vice versa. Nobody
Yeah.
wants to feel like, oh, I'm just the old hag now because
Mhm.
I'm with this person. I've
I
been with
got
this
married.
person. I done got married, and now I'm just here, and they never tell me I look good in this, or they never. You have to make sure that you are making your partner feel like they still got it, and I think that's
Yeah.
very important. All of these love languages, honestly, we kind of have to, like, okay, yeah, I know we have our number one and our number twos, but it has to be like a combination of all of them, honestly, in a relationship,
Yes.
Yep. I agree.
whether
I think
it's
they're
yours or
all,
not.
important. They're all important in some kind of way.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's the beautiful and yet challenging thing about marriage, right? Is going on that journey of figuring out what balance works for your marriage in particular. For some people, it's always going to be maybe 5% of gift giving, but 80% of acts of service or whatever, and that's kind of just how it remains, like,
Yeah.
pretty constant. But then for some people, and I think this is very realistic, that sometimes in life maybe those things shift a little bit. You're normally an active service person, but you be maybe going through a rough personal season, and you really just need some words of affirmation to make you feel like you're still the person that somebody that you used to feel like you were, or whatever. And so I think that's allowed too, and I think that's the point. That's the part about your partner really getting to know you and respect who you are and how you receive and stuff like that, and give love, because they'll be able to, I guess, more easily identify when maybe your needs might be changing a little bit,
Right.
and things like that.
Right. Right.
Yeah, and I definitely can resonate with a lot of that because, like I was telling Kira, I've known her for about going on 2 to 3 years now, and she saw me transitioning from one relationship kind of thing into where I am now, and she was there rooting for me the entire time. But through all of my failed marriages and relationships that I have had, I had to really respect any of the love languages that you go through. You have to be kind of a different individual. You have to be a lot more patient than you were when you were younger. You have to be a lot more understanding for people. You have to be a lot more forgiving. That's something that a lot of people don't talk about in relationships, is you're going to have to forgive a lot of things. You have these standards, you have these boundaries and all these things that you preset of what you would never do as a person, or, what you would never accept from a spouse or whatnot. But, you end up becoming such a different person when you find somebody that's really worth trying to get it right for. Because if my husband was anybody else, if he was any other man, I probably wouldn't have cared enough to try to sit there and understand his struggles with me, and his issues with who I am or whatever I have going on. Because like I said, I'm a person who, I have a huge ego, and it's really takes a special individual to deal with my ego and also deal with a lot of the pain that comes with failed relationships. So learning those love languages for me really just kind of became a thing that I had to sit there and dissect it. I had to sit there and figure out, or I was going to have a failed third marriage because I wasn't trying enough. or it wasn't that I wasn't trying enough. I didn't have the right guide to understand why all the things that I knew it meant to be a good woman and to be a good wife weren't working the way I thought they should have.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
So I had to educate myself about marriage. Honestly, I had to educate myself about how to love somebody however they needed to be loved, honestly.
Absolutely.
Right. Because everybody,
you don't,
something different.
Soulmates are I believe in you, like you said earlier, you said you chose to love your husband. Mm-hmm. You chose that was the person that you wanted to do whatever you had to do. You made that choice. Mm-hmm. So when you make the choice to, dedicate that to somebody, and like you'll know outside of other relationships, like you always have that one boundary. You know what? If he does that, I'm gone. If he does that, I'm gone. If this happens, this is it. Mm-hmm. But you have to really sit there and think about just how far, don't break your morals or anything for somebody, but if somebody really matters to you, you'll do whatever you have to do that they ask that's within reason, no matter how uncomfortable it makes you. Because like I said, physical touch does make me uncomfortable as a person, but I have to identify my demons to be able to move forward in my relationship. Mm-hmm. Right. And that's just about getting it right for the right person.
That's a word.
That is a word. Mm-hmm. So, in conclusion, if you are having trouble in relationships in general, whether it's any type of relationship, romantic, friends, any kind of personal relationship, you're having any kind of trouble, try taking the quiz. Or if not, if you don't want to take the quiz, maybe try asking the other person if they know what their love language is, and then try to love them in that way. I hope you guys were able to, get a feel of the different love languages from our discussion today with me, Leah, and Jazz. We're going to go ahead and close it out, and I hope you guys enjoyed. And again, this is your host, K Mira. You can follow me on IG at K_Mira, Facebook, Rakira McKee. And Jazz and Leah, go ahead and tell them again.
At Instagram is at the Jasmine Lee.
My Instagram is Lisa, Lisa Pinay, Pinay.
All right. Thank you guys for tuning in. And we are out.